I can destroy that person, but still I want to be a friend of everybody. I think that is what we need to be. This is what the established story as per Western evidence tells us.
So I have so many questions here.
The impression of history that I had throughout my school days were it so boring, man. Too many kings and too many names and too many dates and too many letters.
What if history was never meant to be just memorized?
But this is like interesting stories, and I have never heard of this in the last 10 years.
What if it was meant for us to be understood?
We know of two epics, Ramayana and Mahabharata. There is a third one in the Rig Veda.
Really?
My guest today is Omkar Dhavalikar, the founder of Itihas, the Indian history podcast channel.
There were more than 2 or 3 Johars that happened. If you go to Chittorgarh today, there are inscriptions. How many women burned themselves during Khilji? How many women burned themselves when Akbar's invasion happened? Collectively. So many queen and...
What were the men doing then?
Men were fighting.
He found that reading the text by himself, he can figure out and answer questions which were existential not just to him, but to many of us.
The original Manusmriti had lot less verses than the current Manusmriti which is here.
Oh, so पानी मिलाया गया.
पानी मिलाया गया है and
So about more than 1,000 years.
somewhere around that time.
Wow. That is more than any empire that the West even knows.
Definitely.
Even the Greek and the Romans did not survive.
Right.
Why do you think we survived?
Interesting question.
Superb. I'm loving the conversation. It's very entertaining and interesting. Omkar ji, welcome to our podcast, Unassuming with Rocky. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having us here.
Thank you for coming. Before we begin and we ask you the questions that we have, आप हमारे दर्शकों को ये बताएं कि who are you and what do you intend to do with your channel Itihas?
So by training, I am not an historian. Let me say this up front.
Okay.
By training, I am an engineer. So I lead AI delivery at a company in Mumbai.
Okay.
But history or Itihas has been my passion since more than 10 years. And because of that, started more of a liking 10 years back. And I've been reading history since then. So right from our epics like Ramayana and Mahabharata, right to the freedom struggles, right? So I have read a lot of breadth, right? And this breadth essentially brought out a certain pattern which has been there through this history. That most of the civilizations that you see in the world, all the ancient civilizations, that might be your Mesopotamian, that might be your Egypt, Rome and so on, they died when one political institution died or not. In India, you can see something very different. It's something which is very unique to this land is if one institution died, somebody came up and built a new institution based on the need of those times. But the underlying principles were the same. So it's like at least 10,000 years of a continuous story which came out of that, from that reading.
What we know.
Yes, that is what we know as per the current research. It might be less or more, but that is what today's research say. And when I read that, I understood that understanding this is very important for us as Indians, as for the world, because there are a lot of lessons learned from this, and hence Itihas.
So, when you say Itihas, I mean Indian history has been mostly looked from two perspectives. One is from the Western eye, and the other is from the Indic person.
Right.
So, जब आप कहते हैं कि you are somebody who is doing first principle research and you're reading texts and it is your motivation and you have seen a lot of figures coming up in our past and our civilizational history. Are you a person who looks at our history from a Western point of view or somebody who looks at it from a very Indic perspective?
Okay. I think we should not let ideologies take over us, take our mindsets. I think my opinion is that all of us need to do a lot of research, due diligence. We should not, just put an opinion. Okay, this is Western, so I'll not look into this. I'm a very proud Bharatiya, Indian. I should not, or, I will let West dictate everything. We should look at their approach, their evidences. We should look at our scriptures. reconcile that, do certain proper research, which has been done by a lot of people today. Right? There are a lot of people who have done scientific dating of Ramayana and Mahabharata in the last few decades, right?
Most of them are not even Indians.
Exactly. This didn't start with Indians.
Yes.
So we need to do that research and then come with certain inferences. That is what, for me, is history.
So were you like dissatisfied with the way people were presenting our history? What was the motivation other than just your interest in it?
It's a very interesting story, not the typical story that we see. For me, during my 10th boards, my mother was reading a very famous Indian Marathi novel on Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, which is called as Shriman Yogi.
Okay.
And whenever I used to get some break, she used to tell me a short story. And I was so shocked by this because it was very interesting. You know, the impression of history that I had throughout my school days were it's so boring, man. Too many kings and too many names and too many dates and too many letters and this is all I could understand from history. But this is like interesting stories. And I have never heard of this in the last 10 years. Right? So once I finished my boards, I kind of took that book and started reading, and it is continued to this date. So, my father had a small library of such history books. It has been increasing since then.
Oh, lovely. Yeah, because in today's day and age where, most people can't even read an Instagram caption.
Right.
To imagine that a person is reading our texts throughout the length and breadth of our, scriptural heritage that we have, which is thousands and thousands of volumes. It is not just one book. We are not a one-book civilization. So, is it curiosity, or is it like the explorative nature that guides you? What is it?
Initially, it started with interesting stories. Right? I read Shivaji Maharaj. Then, I got reference of Rajasthan. So, there is somebody called as Rana Pratap, right? Then there is something called as Chanakya. So it was more of stories, no ideologies. I read Gandhi and I read Savarkar. I read Ramayana and I read everything, other things, right? Left, right, everything. At that time, I did not have any ideologies. What is left and right, I did not know at that point. So it was initially curiosity and interesting stories that led me. And then after 4 or 5 years, I understood that there is a certain underlying current which has been there for the last maybe 10,000 odd years, right? Which is kind of guiding this whole Indian civilizational history. So once I understood that in some way, that is when I become a bit more of a bit more serious. There are too many researchers who have done a lot of study with me. So I will not say I'm a very serious researcher, but that is when I actually got serious with Indian history and started researching it in some sense.
Superb. So most people, when they talk about history, they don't understand which era are we talking about, from which period to what period. Because the way that most historians talk does not consider, a time frame of thousands and thousands of years.
Right.
It usually starts, say, 3,000, 4,000 years back. That is a very difficult way to understand for people, and that is why I think a lot of people lose interest. अगर उनको दिलचस्पी होगी ही नहीं कि यार ये बहुत ज़्यादा पुरानी बात है, why do I care? My country even did not exist then. What are the timestamps that you can give in the history of the past 10,000 years?
Sure. So I will give you 2 sets of stories which are there.
Okay.
The one story is something that is given to us by the West, right? The colonial history essentially, and which even if you put it on ChatGPT today, this is what it will give you.
Because that is what they are fed.
Right. So I'll give that first. So as per that, Indian history starts with the Indus Valley civilization, somewhere around 3000 odd BCE, right? You can see a lot of evidences of the Sapta Sindhu civilization around that northwestern part of India. There are a lot of good drainage systems, lot of good town planning, links with Mesopotamia, ancient civilization, seals, stones, trade, those things. Then you will see somewhere around 1500 BCE, some people from Central Asia came here. They're called as Aryans, right?
And the Aryan invasion theory.
Yes, we'll come to that.
Yeah.
But they came here and they kind of pushed these people who were there in this Indus Valley region, pushed them down. They're called as Dravidians, right? And that is called as the Vedic Age.
Wow.
From 1500 BC. Right? So that is when Vedas happened, that is when caste system happened, that is when Sanskrit happened, all of those things happened. Right?
Okay.
That is the second milestone.
1500 BCE.
Yes.
Okay, so when a Westerner looks at our history and when we say that, okay, we are such an old civilization, the oldest that they can, give a time stamp to us is just 1500 BC.
3000 BC, the Indus Valley civilization.
Okay, so 3000 BC.
That's the second milestone that we have as per evidences.
Yeah.
The third milestone is there was a period of Janapadas and Mahajanapadas. So a lot of different kind of small kingdoms across the length and breadth of India, and there was somebody called as Buddha which came in like this is somewhere around 600 BC to 300 BC. Right, that happened. There are a lot of texts, there are Buddhist texts to share this. Then there was a period around 300 BC when there was an attack of Alexander on India, the Greek invasion, right? So how do you know this? Because there's a book written as Indica. Alexander had an ambassador called as Megasthenes.
Yes.
So he had visited India. He has visited a lot of places. He understood what is India, and all of that is there. So what is the story around that? So that is one benchmark which is there. After that, what we are told is directly, around 700 AD, there is a attack on India of bin Qasim.
Muhammad
bin Qasim, he attacked India. Between that, there were some empires. They built some temples. And some temples happened. And after bin Qasim, Prithviraj Chauhan died by Muhammad Ghori. This happened somewhere around 1100 odd AD.
Okay.
And then around 1500 AD, Babur happened to India, Mughal Empire. Then like somewhere around 17th century, there was somebody called as Shivaji Maharaj, a regional figure. He did some heroics.
Regional figure.
Yes. And after that, the British kind of took over India from Mughals, somewhere around 18th century. And then in 1947, we got freedom through non-violence by Mahatma Gandhi, right? So this is what the established story as per Western evidence tells us.
So I have so many questions here. Firstly, when they say Indus Valley civilization, like if you go and check anything for the white man's history, it is not considered a separate history. Like they even take Greek as their own.
Right.
They consider Romans as their own.
Right.
Plato is their own. However, completely different school of thoughts. If Indus Valley was found on the subcontinent, why was it not called the Indian civilization or a part of the Indian civilization? If Harappa was found here, why was it not called the Indic civilization or the Indus Indian civilization? What do you think is the reason behind it?
So I like to quote certain period of history behind the logic and rationale behind this topic. So when the West, Enlightenment happened in the West, right? And they colonized, Renaissance and Enlightenment happened, and when they colonized a lot of countries, they suddenly found this this whole thing came up, right? India, China, and they are so much advanced. They have so much knowledge. They have so much agriculture for so many years. So they had a kind of a conscious, right? But race theory is essentially called as race theory today. They wanted to essentially trace that everything good which has happened and everything which is old in the world somehow should be traced back to them. So for that, there is a concept of Aryan invasion theory which came in. They wanted to say that, we were the essentially originators. We came to India from Central Asia and we started the civilization. Before that, there were, in some parts of northwestern India, in Pakistan, Dholavira and few places, there was some kind of civilization happened, some stone, some drainage systems was there. Good. But we are the ones who built the civilization aspect of it.
Because how can the brown man be civilized?
Exactly.
The way that firstly we are presented, not even presented, the way we are, accepted, comes from a Western prism.
Right.
And then we are left to find our way when we have to figure out our own history.
Right.
So that is where people like you come in the picture. I mean, it's a great work that you're doing, and a lot of people who do not have the time and energy to read history first principle by their own, it is essential for them to understand through these short video formats that is available in today's age. And I think it is a big service to the whole civilization and the ages to come. Now, having said that, Aryan invasion theory or the Aryans came. I know a lot of talk has been, done on that, and a lot of people have said, no, Aryans were not this, there were no Aryans,
Right.
and there were no Dravidians, we were
Right.
just one people. My point is something else. Since you've read how the people came here, and even if they consider that the Aryans came here, my question is, which a lot of people don't really ask, if nothing was here, why everybody wanted to come here?
Totally true. So let us attack or understand the Aryan invasion theory and see where it falls. Right. So Aryans came here, as you said. Why did they come here? Because what we are told is it was a very fertile land. It was protected by the Himalayas in the north and sea on the other three sides. Hence
Yes.
they came here
Yes.
to do agriculture, to prosper, and so on. When you actually look at Aryan invasion theory, and when you see evidences now which has come up, there are a lot of archaeological and other evidences, but the strongest evidence against that comes from genetics itself.
Absolutely.
So somewhere around 85,000 years ago, we know the Homo sapien essentially traveled from Africa along the coast to India.
Because the land was also connected.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there were Neanderthals who were more powerful, who were more cunning.
Physically.
Physically more powerful and mentally cunning on the western side. So they came from the coast to India. Not all of them came, but many of them came. And actually, around this period, you will see slowly people have started to go out of India. There are skeletons that have been found in Russia, in Serbia, where the same haplogroup, which was found in India earlier, is there.
So there has been an outward migration
Correct.
from India. The first migration happened from Africa.
Yes.
People walked on land, came to India, settled here because I think that was also the Younger Dryas period.
Yes, after that.
Or-
Before that.
Before
Much
that? Much before that. The first I
Yes.
think the Ice Age
Right.
before that.
Yes.
And then they settled here because this was closer to equator and we had water, we had rivers.
It's a very good fertile land.
good fertile land, safe. There were no predators.
Essentially, predators were there, but the more definitely was nature and environment. That was one danger. And second danger was Neanderthals. Because the Homo sapien feared it.
They were not physically as strong.
As
them.
strong. So today we are all 6 feet and all of those things. At that time, the Homo sapiens were not 6 feet.
Correct.
They were 4 feet, something like that. They were not, 60, 70, 80 kgs.
And how do we know this?
This is essentially a genetic evidence.
This is an evidence.
This is a genetic
This
evidence.
is scientific data
This is
for
scientific
everybody to
data.
find out.
Anybody can. So I think one thing that everybody can go to Google, search Nature magazine, and it is all published there.
Superb. We came to the point where Neanderthals were, a threat to the Homo sapiens. Homo sapiens traveled from Africa because they were mostly hunter-gatherers.
Yes.
I don't think farming has till now been, developed.
Right.
So they came to India, the Indian subcontinent, and they settled here.
Right.
And then once they settled here, they flourished a bit. By now, did they explore farming?
They are supposed to, but as per evidences, there is one evidence which is found in Tamil Nadu, which says that agriculture has been there in that land continuously for 10,000 years. So we don't know if all of those people who came here suddenly found agriculture or not. That will not be a right statement to say. At least my research doesn't say that.
Yeah.
But at least since 10,000 years, they have been doing agriculture in Tamil Nadu.
And then when they settled here for a while, from here the outward migration
Yeah,
happened.
so it is not in India theory. It is out of India theory.
Yeah. There has been a lot of talk where people say that now that the Indic mindset is, kind of waking up, and we are, considering what our heritage and our history has been. A lot of people are saying there was no Aryan invasion theory, but then they changed it to Aryan migration theory, right?
Right.
So you are saying even that is not true.
So because, see, essentially it's a different name for the same thing, It's like, it's the same bread, but before they gave you a pizza, now they're giving a sandwich.
Yeah.
It's like that.
Yeah.
There has to be an evidence, at least a genetical evidence, for it to be completely established that the haplogroup found in India came from Central Asia somewhere around 1500 BCE.
What do you mean when you say haplogroup?
So essentially in the DNA, there are certain markers. While it is changing, across so many thousand years, but there are certain basic markers that can be found. So from that, it was essentially haplogroup A, then it happened B, C. So essentially there are mutations that has happened, right? So all of that can be now traced genetically. The science has been advanced now.
Okay. And they trace it with our current genetic samples?
Yes. So there have been research done by certain South Indian institutes in India also, which essentially are saying many of these aspects, that there is no evidence of somebody coming around 1500 BCE from Central Asia to India. They had done a sampling of a lot of people from North India, South India, because that is also a question. Okay, I am so dark in skin tone, you are so fair in skin tone. Definitely this is very different, right?
Yeah.
So this is not because of, a white man came from somewhere. It is because of the melatonin difference which was there, right? So all of those things, there are evidences that are of that now.
Of course, there has been this whole rejection right now of the mindset that Aryans, first of all, the word Aryan is to be only, where, you tell me the origin of the word Aryan.
So Aryan is there throughout our scriptures.
Correct.
Through the Shrutis and the Smritis.
When you say Shrutis and Smritis, what is that exactly?
Okay, so the whole Indian scriptural corpus that we have with us can be divided into two parts. One is called as Shrutis, or that which is heard.
That which is heard.
And
heard by whom?
Heard by the sages.
Heard by the sages.
Heard by the sages who have written these Shrutis.
So who told them?
Yeah. So it goes like this. There were sages, and when I say sages, this is men as well as women.
Okay.
Let's say, just to take an example, Rig Veda. If you go into who have written Rig Veda hymns and so on, there are names of 22 Rishikas, women sages, Gargi, Lopamudra, so many others, right? So when they did their meditations and so on, they understood few things, and that is what they wrote it down. So that is not something that humans developed in the natural course of time, but that is something that they understood about from within, about various things, right? That is what is spirituality essentially. That is the source of all spirituality today. And second part is Smritis, or that which is remembered, right? These are your documents which support the Smritis, or talk about lineages. They talk about natural events which have happened, and many other informational things.
So you say there are many Rishikas who have, authored shlokas and texts in the Rig Veda. Does the Rig Veda say anything about caste?
Yes, it does, but not in the way that we today understand caste. I'll give you a few evidences across Rig Vedas and few other scriptures, right?
What is the considered, sorry to cut you, what is the oldest considered text present in our scriptures or the Indian civilisational script bank to say? What is the oldest text that we can all agree on?
For sure it is Rig Veda.
Rig Veda.
Yes.
Okay. How old can we say it is safely? Not from the guy who thinks that Aryans came and invaded us. For somebody who really understands history, अगर वो सोच रहा है, so what would be the timestamp they would give when the Rig Veda was authored?
Okay, so I'll give as per my research what I have found, right? So there is a memory in Rig Veda which says at a certain day when the stars were in a certain position, Agastya drank the ocean. Very supernatural story, right? Doesn't make any sense to the modern mind. But when you actually do certain research, which few people have done today, what it actually saying is very interesting. There is a specific date when you map this based on oceanographic evidence, astronomical evidence, archaeological evidence, and so on. Somewhere around 10,000 to 12,000 years ago, when Agastya star, there's a star called as Agastya,
Okay.
right, was in a specific position, the oceans receded. So that is what is essentially to say Agastya drank the ocean because the ocean receded. This is an oceanographic evidence as well as an astronomical evidence. This happened somewhere around 12,000 years ago. So that is one of the oldest memories which I have understood till now.
Okay. So you mean to say that in the Rig Veda, just like we have in our GPS today, our postal code, our Galiga address, then our locality address, then district address, city address, country address, our ancestors from the Rig Veda somehow, without any telescopes, figured out where is our geographical position in terms of the cosmic sky.
Definitely. There is a lot of evidence of astronomy in this. So, like there are Vedas, Shrutis, there are Smritis, right? So, one of those Smritis is called as Vedanga, like limbs of Vedas, essentially supporting documents for the Vedas. One of that is astronomy. In that, see, essentially when you have a civilization for so many thousands of years, many people just looked at the sky, right? They have so much of time. They looked at the sky and looked at it and looked at it. And slowly with thousands and thousands of years, they'll develop certain understanding. Ki this is that star, this happens, at this time, this happens at that time. So definitely there was this understanding, and it is throughout, not just Vedas. Let's say in Mahabharata, in all of, you can see this across all scriptures.
We were talking about caste. Caste and how is it mentioned in the Vedas, specifically the Rig Veda.
Sure.
Please explain that first.
So Rig Veda doesn't talk about caste. Caste is not an Indian word. So it's a borrowed word from the Europe. I think it's a Portuguese word.
Portuguese word,
Casta,
yeah.
Casto,
Yes.
something like that. So here it is called as Varna system, right? So this Varna system identified 3 Varnas in Rig Veda. The first memory in Rig Veda has 3 Varnas, which is Brahmana, Kshatriya and a Vaishya. There is no mention of a Shudra.
Really?
There is no mention. Earlier, in the early one, there is no mention of a Shudra. And as per various documents, the most, let me quote the most infamous document, right? The Manusmriti. I think more people have burnt it than read it, right?
Yeah.
So even as per that, the earliest mentions say that there are only 3 Varnas and it is not birth based. Everybody goes to a guru. There are gurukuls. You do your education based on your nature and the skills that you showcase through your education. The guru assigns you a Varna. And let's say if he says that as per him, you are essentially failed the exam, right? You failed the boards. The civilization had a fallback for that. You can also do other things like the service industry, essentially. Shudras are essentially service industry.
Absolutely, yeah.
So you can be a Shudra. And there was nothing wrong about this or derogatory about Shudras in the earlier scriptures. Even Ambedkar, he has read a lot more than many civilizational people who call themselves civilizations. Ambedkar has read a lot. And in his seminal thesis on Shudras, Dalit and the whole operation thing, he has also stated that there is no evidence in Vedas about, discrimination.
Discrimination based on caste.
Caste. Definitely there are castes, but there is no discrimination mentioned in the Vedas.
Is there a mention of assignment of Varna or what you call caste or what you may call caste as per birth in the Rig Veda?
No. It has come in, Manusmriti and many other places, in many other texts later, after Rig Veda, there are other Vedas also which came in. There are definitely mentions of that, of all the four Varnas, of birth base and all of those things. There are two things that we need to understand. One is external changes. Manusmriti, the original Manusmriti had a lot less verses than the current Manusmriti which is here.
Oh, so पानी मिलाया गया है.
पानी मिलाया गया है and it had also been reinterpreted. So we have this evidence today. There is somebody called as Surendra Kumar who has done a research in somewhere around early 2000 about this.
You say you don't want to politicize it, but I think most of whatever we are talking will be politicized. So I want to ask you, whatever you're saying, that even the Manusmriti, which is the most, argued and most, it is the kryptonite of the Hindu, I would say.
Yes.
The Hindu is only blamed on the basis of the Manusmriti. तुम्हारे Manusmriti में भी ये लिखा है तो तुम मुझे क्यों question कर रहे हो? That is the base statement, correct?
Right.
But a lot of appropriation is also happening from the sides who really have not many books, but they have a very solid dogmatic nature of following what is written. So they also appropriate what is not so modern in their texts. When we say Manusmriti में पानी मिलाया गया है, Manusmriti had much lesser verses, is it not appropriation on our part?
It is, definitely. So one is definitely there is a lot of colonial hangover which we have. There is a baggage, right, which says whatever you have is bad. So there is definitely an alter current which says, okay, whatever we have is good. Whatever is Indian.
Resistance.
There is a resistance. Natural. If for hundreds of years somebody just puts you down, like you are like the worst creatures on the planet and all of those things, I will definitely come up and say, okay, whatever is Indian is good. Right? But can we claim as Indians, can anybody claim here and say that caste discrimination has not happened?
No.
We can't say that, right?
No.
So definitely it has creeped in. It has creeped in our documents also with time. What we need to do is not to demonize it or not to feel proud about it, but to research this. There has to come people, there has to come institutions who will research about this. Right? What has happened? This is like a huge corpus of texts, huge corpus of history. That
Great.
has to done. That has to be done.
You also said that even several Rishikas authored shlokas in the Rig Veda. Shloka is the right way to frame it?
Yeah, shlokas, mantras, hymns.
Mantras, hymns
Yeah.
in the Rig Vedas. So, does that mean, I mean, just to understand it from a, urban perspective, or for everybody who's listening to us and, watching us, who is not as old as us probably. So I want to break it down for them, because as far as my research goes, I have not seen a lot of so-called religious texts being authored by women at all,
Right.
let alone being authored by many women.
Yes.
So would you call our scriptures pro-feminist?
I will not call it pro-feminist. I will just call it pro-human. Because in the end, it is men or female, it doesn't matter. If you understood something by your own meditations, you just put that down, right?
So merit-based, like in today's world also, we are talking about this caste will get that much reservation. Why doesn't we fall into the reservation category because of our caste?
Right.
I always find it very, intriguing, because at one point we say that caste is such a bad thing, evil, ill, this, that. And at the same time, we really want to take advantage of what our caste is and get a reservation and do something, on the basis of what our caste is. How can we reject something when we are still clinging on to it?
Right.
So our ancestors, on the other hand, saw it completely differently, and they assigned it on the basis of our nature and merit.
Yes.
Which today's India thrives.
Yes.
Because the ultimate goal for us, developed India is to become a merit-based society. What do you think?
Definitely. So there are a lot of evidences of both of these things in our history, right? It's not that it was always a very, very goody place and everything good happened here. There were also times when something not good happened. Let me give you examples of both of these things, right? It is also important for us to understand today, because of this whole caste scenario, the Nanda Empire, which is essentially the precursor to Mauryan Empire, Chandragupta. So this is during Alexander's invasion, somewhere around 300 BC.
300 BCs, the Nandas were here.
The Nandas were here.
Okay.
Essentially your Pataliputra, Bihar. That was one of the biggest capitals of India, right? They called themselves Shudras.
They were Shudras.
They were Shudras. Okay. So there are so many kings and kingdoms. Guptas called themselves Vaishyas. Who are we to say that somebody cannot be a king or somebody cannot learn something?
So the typical understanding that only the fighting class, the warrior class, was from the Kshatriyas is not true at all.
No. So if you trace back Shivaji Maharaj's ancestry for just a few years, his ancestors were doing farming. So did somebody come to him and say, no, your great-grandfathers were doing farming, so you cannot come and take weapon? He was just a common man. But aren't there instances in our history which also did the opposite? Right? That is when a Buddha came, right? That is when a Mahavir came. That is when an Adi Shankara came. All of those things have also happened. This is important today because we need to understand, because when a civilization is as old as 10,000 years old, right? Naturally, there are going to be internal decays. Naturally, that's the way humans are, because humans are not perfect, right? So there has to be a certain self-correction. There has to be a course corrections. And naturally, there is a certain bedrock or framework or whatever you want to call that, which kind of, corrects itself whenever these things happen. So even today, what we see as a caste system, as per my knowledge, is essentially a reaction to what has happened before. Now, is it good? Is it bad? Definitely, we want a very meritocratic society. It's a civilisational debate that we all need to do, think, and work around. But we have been through all these things before. And at that time, we have looked at it in a very nuanced way, from a very civilizational way, and we have come out of that before. That is the role of that history has to play. People who read history, they have to play that role, because it's not new things which are happening. Definitely there are new things, but something similar has happened in the past, right? So how did people respond? We need to understand that 10,000 years, humans live less than 100 years, right? So people have been through similar situations. We need to learn from that, not make the same mistakes again and again.
So you mean that we live in a cyclical fashion? People come and go, ages come and go, and the same things repeat in different form over and over again.
Right.
And thus we will have achievements, we will have the ills of the society, we will have decays, and we will have figures who will bring us out of these sort of things. So with whatever you have read, a lot of people in today's world, again, they either go after the glorification, which is like, हम तो स्पेस में भी जाते थे, हमारे पास परमाणु बम भी था. And at the same time, there are people who say, अरे तुम जो बोलते हो सब बेकार है, तुम्हारे पास कुछ नहीं है, तुम तो कंट्री भी नहीं थे, तुम आपस में लड़ रहे थे, this that.
Correct.
What is your perspective? How do you think we can bridge the gap for these two kind of people and make them believe in the continuum that we come from?
Okay, so like I mentioned before, partly it comes from the colonial hangover and the reaction to it. As per me, what I have understood from the last 10 years, as per that, I think what we need is two things. One is we need researchers who will understand both sides of the story, who will go to the primary sources, what the West has written, what the sciences say, as well as what is there in our scriptures, reconcile that, and then there has to be systems who will push out this literature to the masses, right? Because if it's just there in a bookshelf, it doesn't make any sense. It has to come out to the whole world. That is when we will be able to reconcile both of these things and come to a common understanding of what truly things were.
So, when you say researchers, we need more researchers and people who can bridge this gap. The way that it is functioning in today's age, again, only a historian is supposed to do work related to history. Person who's an expert in geography will be the only word that you will listen in terms of geography, astronomy. There are principles, and then there are dedicated people looking after those particular subjects, right?
Right.
Which does not sound too vague, to be very honest, because this is how we are trained. We do not believe even in Ayurveda because we think he's not a doctor or he's not a medical doctor. So how can I believe an engineer if he does not have a degree in history, whatever he says about history?
Right.
So how to help with that?
Two things, right? One is somebody who has been trained in engineering, can he study history? I think our history, just as we just went through in some of those things, has said the opposite. Right? Based on your nature, you are free to choose your occupation. Yeah. So I think we should not have that divide first.
We should not think in silos.
We should not think in silos, because for the last 10,000 years we have not thought like that. At least for the majority portion of it.
So you mean to say, just like a person who is not a national swimmer can still swim,
yes,
and be very good at it,
yes,
and maybe he's also very good at teaching it.
Yes, else it will be like a modern caste system, right?
Yeah.
You have done this, so you only have to do this.
Intellectual caste system.
Intellectual caste system, right? Yeah. You don't want to go back to that,
We coined a term, intellectual caste system. Yeah.
So you don't want to go back to that.
Yeah.
Second thing is, we should not believe anything at face value. I have said 10 things in this particular podcast or in my channel or anywhere else. I think people should go back. Whatever I have written, should note those points, go to Google, read out what are the primary scriptures on that, and come back to me and say, okay, these are the 9 things which are correct, these are the 2 things which are wrong as per you. I can be wrong. Anybody can be wrong.
इसमें दो चीज़ें हैं Omkar, which I have understood so far. Firstly, a lot of people don't want to go through this hassle. That is why. The good thing about social media is that people are following good things because they don't have the time and energy to put when they are doing first principle research. Most of the people don't even understand what is first principle research. And the second thing is, there is so much information, even on Google, even on any search platform. How do we know what is true? I know for a fact because I have read scriptures, and when I compare it with when I search something on the internet and say a Wikipedia post comes up in the research, they are not the same thing. Wikipedia is written from a different perspective altogether.
Right. It is edited. There are people who can edit that.
Yes, and there are only a few people who are allowed to edit
exactly.
it, right?
Yes.
It is a private organization. It is
Definitely.
funded by private funds. So there must be a private agenda. So how do I do my research if I'm a layman?
Okay, not everybody can do a research, right? As you said, I'm an engineer. I will be busy throughout the day. I don't have time for this. Or maybe I don't even have the need or care about it. This is the role that intellectuals in any society has to play.
Everybody is claiming to be intellectual.
That is a problem, because social media has kind of made everybody an intellectual, right? If you have a certain following, anything that you say is considered true.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you are influencing.
You are influencing.
Yeah.
Essentially. How do you divide this? The hay from the stack?
Correct.
Right. It's an interesting question. There has to be institutions in any country who look at this from a civilizational perspective.
So we need holistic disciplines which consider holistic research.
Yes.
Not just stream based, not just one discipline based, and those people will at the end of the day be the voices who can give us the correct version of what we believe to be happened. Correct?
There is a stream which is there today called as Indic knowledge system or Indian knowledge system.
Right.
This is essentially that. The only thing is the way it has to grow. It has to grow in a very phenomenal and very big way. for us to reconcile all that?
For instance, I've traveled to Egypt. I've seen the pyramids. I've seen the Sphinx. I've gone to Luxor. I've seen the Luxor temple. I've traveled on the Nile. Every day, when I used to wake up, my guide used to come and tell me, today somebody in Egypt found a new temple somewhere.
Right.
So I used to joke around that maybe तुम लोग सुबह उठ के फावड़ा लेके निकल जाते हो और तुमको कुछ ना कुछ मिल जाता है.
Right.
Is that a thing that we are lacking? When you say that, these Indic people, Indic researchers are the people who holistically look at things. Well, in Egypt, Egyptologists are considered the last word.
Right.
Maybe more than the white man.
Definitely.
So, how can we make our Indic personalities reach that level?
Right. So there are Indologists, just like there are Egyptologists.
Right.
There are Indologists. Unfortunately, a lot of these Indologists today that we look up to in a big way are from the West. Unfortunate reality, right? So we consume anything and everything from the West as the holy grail. And anything which is from India is okay, it is substandard kind of thing, right?
It's just grail.
It's just grail, right?
Yeah.
We have to look at things from a neutral perspective, not from a colonial hangover. Until and unless we develop that attitude, it will be like that.
So we have to increase the demand for it, I think. And the supply would
Supply
follow.
will happen, naturally happen.
Great. So a lot of people believe, and it is after discussing whatever we discussed so far, I understood that the Indian subcontinental civilization is probably the oldest living civilizations.
That's right.
One of the oldest living civilizations. The Aztecs did not survive. The Mayans did not survive.
Right.
The old Egyptians that we were talking about did not survive. The Gaelic did not survive. The Mesopotamian did not survive. The Celtic did not survive. Even the Greek and the Romans did not survive.
Right.
They may be changed, but they did not survive.
Right.
Why do you think we survived?
Interesting question. So essentially what has happened as per my research is, I will not say it's the whole and soul of world history. I will not claim that. But as per my research, I have found that whenever established institutions of a particular civilization collapsed, most of the times, there are a few exceptions like Mesopotamia died because of a drought which has happened, right? But most of the other ones, that may be Egypt, Rome, Greek, died when that particular political institution or civilization institute died down. It was all around a certain institute, right? Greeks, there were city-states. Rome, there was those empires. Egypt, there were those pharaohs, the olden Egypt, right? When these people went away, these institutions went away, they died. In India, you see the opposite, something completely opposite. So, I was just thinking about this. A corollary came to my mind. So Indian civilization has been like, as a living human being. So for a living human being, there are two kind of threats that can happen. One thing is there are external viruses, and then there is internal damage of organs and other things, right? And there is an immunity system. So the immunity system is that fundamental bedrock that we have. You may call it Dharma, Shastra, or just the core of our civilization. You can call it anything, but it is there. And whenever an external invasion happens, this immune system create responses, right? That those may be kings, those may be sages, those may be social reformers. You can call them anything. They go and fight them. When any internal decay happens, there are people who do those course corrections internal, like we said, this Buddha, Mahavir, Adi Shankaracharya, so many others. So it's like a living organism who is able to transform. In schools, we are taught that we were a very, defeated civilization. It's actually the other way. If we just note down the known invasions that has happened in this country, it is more than 10 civilizational threat. Let me just note those down for you, right, and your viewers. First, Greeks. The Greek invasion happened. Then there were Shakas, Kushanas, Huns. That happened.
Who settled?
who settled. Today you don't
Assimilated.
know who is a Greek, who is a Shaka, Kushan, Hund. I may be one, you may be one.
Yeah.
The Kanishka, who was one of them, built a huge Buddhist council,
Correct.
right? So they all embraced. They became one with us. We don't know today, right? That happened. Then there was this whole Delhi Arabic invasion, right? The Delhi Sultanate and all of those happened. Then Babur's invasion was there. Mughal Empire happened. Then there were the Dutch. Before British, Dutch were the biggest European power of that time.
Correct.
Martanda Varma is the one who defeated them, and the British East India Company became very big. So Portuguese, French, of course the British happened.
The good people.
The good people happened.
Yeah.
So if any one of this invasion happened to any one civilization, they died down. This one still continues to live in more or less the same way that it did, right, 10,000 years ago. Definitely there is something.
What is
Right.
that? When we say we are living, we are the oldest living civilization. See, I traveled to Egypt, as I said. I've traveled to the Southeast Asian countries. I've traveled to America. I have seen the resemblance of the so-called Sanatan or the Hindu way that we perceive the universe. Correct? If you go to an Aztec temple, you will have so many resemblances.
Right.
If you go to Thailand, you will see these same resemblances. If you go to Indonesia, you'll see the same resemblances. Everywhere you go, before 3,000 years ago, if anything that was there, even if it was not identical, if it was like a sister concern. You know, if I'm the main company, you're the sister concern. It was like that. But the gods were similar, the powers were similar, their shastras and astras were similar.
Very similarity between Zeus and Indra, right?
Yeah, I mean, they also had the same mechanisms. When you say the Hunas came, the Kushanas came, and the others came, and they assimilated. Okay, I agree that we absorbed them, they absorbed us, and we became one. But the same powers that we had, they also had the civilization that are not there anymore. What is that one thing or many things that made us still, be here?
Okay, I'll like to convert this into two questions.
Sure.
Lightly, a slight divergence or digression from the topic, because you said ki it is a connected and it's sister and all those things. If you read Ramayana, right, there is a verse when the story is between when Ram, the whole Vanar Sera wants to find where Sita is, right? So Sugriv is here, and Sugriv is saying all the Vanaras, okay, you go in this direction, you go in this direction, Hanuman and this person will go in this direction. There is a disruption of almost a lot of continents in the world in that particular verses. He has mentioned Antarctica, he has mentioned South America, he has mentioned Indonesia, he has mentioned Europe with indicators. It's not called as Europe and Antarctica and so on, but he has mentioned indicators. So were they not connected? Because you mentioned it looks very similar, right? So definitely the civilizations were connected, just like we are connected today, right? Not in the same way. They did not have flights and all those things, but they were connected, which is the reason that you can see a lot of similarities back then, right? So that is point number one. The point number two is, why did we survive and the others didn't, right? So this again comes back to that self-correction mechanism that is, it's literally in our blood, right? What are those principles which are there? One is, which is very common. In 10,000 years ago, if you just read the Rig Veda, and even today, everybody says, the person living 10,000 years ago and today will agree to a few things. He will say ki they completely believe in a non-dogmatic approach of living, right? There is no one God, one church, one book, one prophet, like that. Nothing like that. You can believe whatever you want. I will believe whatever I want. We have no quarrel. Everything is great. Second is the actual realization of this, right? Because you have understood that, not just understood that, but realized through your own inner experience. So that is very powerful. And thirdly, since they had an experience, they understood how valuable this is. So naturally, this is my theory. I'm not sure. This is not written somewhere because of this. It has happened. But I think because it was so ingrained in our bloods, that before the Vedas were oral, right? After that they were written. After that the Vedas for a long period of time they were not there. It evolved. But since it was in our blood, it continued. And when institutions died, there were people who came up and just took that mantle again. Even today you can, nobody has a problem with somebody being a Buddhist, Christian, Muslim here, right? So that is still there. So as per me, that bedrock is something which built us again and again. And there are these social reformers, that may be kings, sages and other things, who took this up in every age as per their times. Like, one unique feature is ki we may not agree to this, but this civilization has transformed more than anyone as per the times. Right? For example,
as in all over the world.
When you compare with the rest of the world, at various ages, there were different needs of the society. Right? When a Buddha came, the problem was there were just too many rituals and there were a lot of restrictions. Right? So he and Mahavir essentially consolidated that back to an individual. When at the time of Adi Shankara, it was more about, there are just too many sects and opposite views and all of those things. So he just unified everybody together. Same you can see in the Vijayanagar Empire and Vidyaranya Swami. Same you can see with Shivaji Maharaj and Ramdas Swami. Same you can see with the Sikh Empire and Guru Nanak.
Okay.
Same you can see when there was an issue with during the colonial period especially, there was a need of, essentially they had colonized our mindset, right? The famous Macaulay's Minute, that first you convert their mindset. They should feel that the brown man is the worst kind of a creature and they should essentially become like us. At that time, Swami Vivekananda went out to the world and he projected India the way it was. So that was again the need of that hour. If you read about the biographies of all these freedom fighters, that might be Tilak, Gandhi, Savarkar, you take anybody, all of them take inspiration from Swami Vivekananda. So whenever there was a need, whatever that need was, it was for war, it was for societal assimilation, that happened actively here, which cannot be seen in other places.
You've given me too many things to talk about.
Okay.
Superb. I'm loving the conversation. It's very entertaining and interesting. The others were also conquered. We were also conquered multiple times. My first question to you is, as you said, we have undergone a lot of existential threats in all our civilization. Are we not under existential threat right now as a civilization? Let me break it down for you a bit. We are, as far as I understand it, the only civilization, the only people who are actually from a civilization. Okay? For instance, I met an American, a friend of mine. I told him, okay, in my culture, this happens, that happens, and we have the festivals that are thousands of years old. One festival reaches there, this festival follows the astronomy, the calendars and everything. What happens in your culture? They say, we have Halloween.
Yes.
Which is again not theirs.
Correct.
It is Spanish.
Right.
Not even
Christmas
Spanish,
is not there.
Christmas is not there, but let's not go there. Then they said, we have New Year's. I said, okay, that's Gregorian.
Yeah.
But then what is yours? Well, he said, see, Rocky, I'll tell you what. We don't have a culture. This guy was pretty honest. He said, we have a skin deep culture. If you go a little deep, we will cease to exist. We exist here with all our cultural attributions, with all our cultural significance. I want to understand, if we faced so many threats then, we are probably the only people who have a civilization which is more than skin deep.
Right.
Present in the world right now.
True.
Are we still under threat?
Yes, very much so. So, are we very westernized today? Are we very woke? Are we a lot of adjectives which are associated with us today? Yes, we are, right? So, we are kind of forgetting all of these things. It is very much there. There are no proper institutions which are looking into this. because somewhere we are not understanding the value of this thing. So, for example, let me just give you an example of my channel, right? Not a very big channel, but what I've seen, my reels which have really gone viral, I have seen two things. When we say we are very westernized, some things have been retained. Reels who go like crazy, there are two things which happen. One is lots of questions. Why did this happen? How can you say this? Lot of questions. This is the ethos of our civilization. When we say a Shiva came or a Rama came or a Krishna came, the first thing that we did with them was question them. The Shiva Sutra is essentially questions. The Bhagavad Gita is essentially a dialogue between two people.
I call it a debate.
It's a debate between two people. And later even Arjuna forgets this after the war, and he again asks Krishna in Hastinapur. Then there is something called as Anu Gita, which happens there. Right? Then Adi Shankara also, he debates everybody in India.
Nuclear Gita.
Nuclear Gita. Then Adi Shankara debates everybody in the country. Travels 3 times over. So that is something which is ingrained in our society. We have never said, okay, you cannot question this. This is still there.
So you mean to say that we are here not by accident?
We are not here by accident.
We are here because we are resilient. And we are resilient because we are inquisitive people.
We have agreement and disagreement.
So the phrase, let's agree to disagree, probably has a mother here.
Yes, exactly.
In all of your readings, have you ever found Indian or Bharatiya, heroes or kings or dynasties to be expansionists who went out and by the sword converted people and brought them under their power and expanded the length and breadth of Bharat?
Not converted on a gun point or a sword point, but I will give you one example from my reading which is slightly different from the actual narrative which is there, right?
Okay.
We did not expand at all. Not true.
Not true.
Cholas.
Okay. Please
So
elaborate.
under Raja Chola.
And give the historic time
Right.
frame also.
So the Cholas is one of the largest dynasties, largest running dynasties, right from 100 odd BCE something to 1000 odd BCE, 1000 odd AD. It's a very large span of time. So during this span of time,
100 BC
100 BCE,
2000 AD.
somewhere like that,
So about more than 1,000 years.
somewhere around that time.
Wow. That is more than any empire that the West even knows.
Definitely. I'm not sure of the exact dates, but there were pre-Cholas, and some offshoots
Whatever,
of
even
them.
if they're Cholas.
Right.
Like-
So there are instances where Raja Chola or few of the subsequent kings went down south of India. They were one of the best navies out there. Right. At that point, they were the greatest navies during Raja Chola and so on.
How do we know this?
There are texts. If you read the Chola texts, the Sangam literature and so many other things, it's written down there.
So the Chola text exists in the Sangam literature.
In the Sangam literature, and there are in many other Tamil literature which is out there. That essentially says that there were periods of time when they conquered Sri Lanka, when they conquered Maldives, when they conquered some parts of Thailand, Myanmar and few other places. That is there. But if you look at civilization as a whole, that you cannot see an urge to go outside of this land and convert somebody or take hold of somebody. That, as per my reading, what the Cholas did was essentially to create kind of a safeguard their trade and few those things, right? That is one example that you see.
We did not expand for the sake of expanding.
For the sake of expansion, yeah.
And you say that we did conquer, say, what is mentioned as Sri Lanka or the Southeast Asian countries or whatever. I want to ask you, which a lot of people don't, acknowledge and, ask, because when we say we are a civilization, there used to be kings even when the Cholas, there were other kings when the Cholas existed in the subcontinent?
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
And then there were other kings, they were probably in Sri Lanka, they were probably in today's Burma, Myanmar, Nepal, up north in, say, today's Pakistan, Iran, Afghanistan, or whatever. What I want to ask you, in a civilization, there can be many kings. But were they under one umbrella that, okay, we are this civilization. If I disagree with you, I will have a fight with you and I will have a war with you. You either give up or give territory. But were we one civilization?
Yes. So let me go to the straight point, right? A lot of people say India as a country formed, or a nation formed on 1947, right? This is essentially where this comes from.
Yeah, this is the core of the colonial
hangover, right?
Code.
So let me go to the scriptures, what they say, right? So in Mahabharat, you will find there is a king named Bharat, who is the son of the famous Dushyant and Shakuntala. Right? It's a very famous story, right? Of romance and all of those things, right? So Bharat is their son. And he is said to be a Chakravarti Samrat. Right? A very famous term. So he is the one from whom we get the name Bharat. What does Chakravarti mean? As per the scriptures, right? Hindu, Buddhist, all scriptures. There are 3 forms of Chakravartis. One, Chakravarti is essentially whose kingdom is across the subcontinent. One Chakravarti is a smaller one, some part of the subcontinent. And one Chakravarti is somebody who has control over a part bigger than the subcontinent. But what this implicitly means is that they associated their understanding to the subcontinent. So whichever king came and went, they associated themselves to the subcontinent as a whole.
Like the Ashwamedha Yagya.
Yes, that is an example.
So
Ashwamedha Yagna and Rajasuya Yagna.
Yes. What were they?
So Sri Ram is said to have done this Ashwamedha Yagna, and Yudhishthir from Mahabharat is said to have done the Rajasuya Yagna. This is essentially the same thing.
What was the process of Ashwamedha Yagya?
So essentially both of these things essentially said that there is a horse and you let it loose across different territories in the subcontinent, right? And if somebody stops this, you have to go and fight that person and take that territory. If you die, I'm sorry, and if they lose, it becomes part of it. Essentially is a dominion under you, right? So both of this, which is there scripturally, also understand that this is for this subcontinent. There is no horse which has gone to Europe or to China or somebody and said, okay, this is now our land. That has not happened.
What was the Rajasuya Yagya?
Rajasuya Yagna is also very similar. It's just that I don't think there is a horse in that. I may be wrong. But as per my understanding, there was no horse in that. It is essentially...
But the claim was still there.
It was a claim, essentially, to understand. Arjuna had went all over the place to fight these battles for Yudhishthir. Bhim had went and so on. Nakula, Sahadev had went there. I'm not sure if there was a horse or not, but it was still the same concept.
Was China ever under the subcontinent?
No.
As per the scriptures?
No. As per my understanding, it was not. But
how do they mention it?
China is definitely mentioned in our scriptures. In Chinese scriptures, India is also mentioned. So one very interesting incident which is shared is a lot of Chinese students, they wanted to come to Nalanda, right? It's one of the greatest universities in the world, right? So a lot of pilgrims, there are 2 or 3 very famous pilgrims. So I don't able to spell their names, but they have mentioned that they have to go somewhere to some other country to prepare for the entrance exam for Nalanda.
Yeah.
So India is seen as a mother. India is seen as a in a very advanced civilizational kind of a perspective from a Chinese perspective, right? So that has also been there. At the same time, we had good relations with Chinese civilizations, like the Tang dynasty was there. I think the Ming dynasty was there. I don't recollect all the names.
I think they called us Tenjiku or something.
Yeah, something like that.
The land of the gods.
The land of the gods. Exactly. So the land of the gods. Yeah.
China also is an older civilization.
Yes, yes.
Since today it is under the CCP, we
Yes,
say
right.
that we are the oldest living civilization. But is there any remnants of the Chinese civilization, number one? And number two, which is older, ours or theirs?
So definitely, as per documents, as per the memories, we have lot of memories, as I said, more than 10,000 years ago, right? There are certain memories that go beyond that also. So based on that, we can definitely say that we were probably the most oldest civilizations in the world. Living.
Okay. We discussed how we were able to, absorb a lot of invaders and their forces. Some assimilated with us, some did not. We are still under existential threat. I want to understand from you, do you think this flexibility, which is probably the reason for our, which you may call resistance, which you may call, secret power or, civilizational heritage or Vedic knowledge or whatever you may call it, do you think this flexibility has cost us immensely?
Yes and no. The question is essentially, since we were not expansionist and we were very flexible, we were okay to hang out with anybody who came, essentially in a way help others to dominate us in ways. Yes, because during different periods of time, there was no civilizational political continuity, which has cost us. These 10 invasions are the proof of that. But it is also very important and very positive in a sense that this exact flexibility of agreeing to disagree essentially helped us to evolve and metamorphosize throughout these ages. Whenever such invasion happened, somebody came, metamorphosized the whole thing and kind of took us out of that, right? So it is a good thing as well as a bad thing.
Yeah, because if we accept everything, just because we assign the right of existence to everything, right? We believe that, okay, if I can believe in 10,000 things, why can't you believe in just one thing?
Right.
Correct.
Right.
But here I have a hypothesis which I want to put forward to you. I see our civilization as a balloon.
Okay.
Filled with intellectual, civilizational water. Okay? So very big balloon with a lot of density, with a lot of mass, but still a balloon. It's very big. It has many ideas, many colors within it and on the face of it as well. We face a pin, which is just one dogmatic approach.
Right.
One pinpointed clarity of what they want, which is probably world domination or anything else. How does this balloon protect itself from the pin? The pin is not that big. It is not that old. The balloon existed for thousands of years. The pin probably came yesterday. Is this not what really we have been going through over and over and over again?
Yes, definitely. Over and over again. The whole world has gone through that. In the whole story of this world, since there are 1,000 different kinds of people, 1,000 different kinds of ways to live are going to happen. Right? Some will be good with us, some will not be very good with us. So our thing is, since we want to be good with everybody, today the world only recognizes if you are strong and you're powerful.
Only real power can protect real peace.
You need a nuclear weapon so that you can be a friend with a superpower. Right? You cannot say, okay, I am a friend to everybody, so I'll disarm myself. But only if you are very strong. You are such that, okay, if somebody comes, I can destroy that person or whatever it is. But still, I want to be a friend of everybody. I think that is what we need to be.
We were once a civilization.
We still are.
Once a bigger civilization.
Right.
The subcontinent borders were farther and farther away. A few thousand years back, the whole world was some way similar to ours, because they were also not very dogmatic.
Right.
They were also not very, harsh in terms of putting out and fighting battles and expanding in the basis of their religious beliefs. We fought those battles. We assimilated some, we did not assimilate some.
Right.
We rejected some, we survived. But we do not hold the same length and breadth of territory as
Right.
we used to.
Right.
If we are today the India as this new country, which is a sovereign but an older civilization, we do not hold as much land as we used to hold as a civilization, say, a few thousand years back. If we still continue to do what we used to do and accept things just for the sake of accepting, what is your opinion? Because history repeats itself,
Right.
correct?
Right.
We have lost territory, we have lost our people have become somebody else. Now they fight us because they think they are not our people in the name of their
Ideology.
or whatever. So how do we find that balance as a new country?
I think it's a very deep question. First, we who consider ourselves as a civilization need to understand who we are at a country. Let's say at a country level, India, whatever its boundaries is. Once you have this established, other people who are living in this country, who may disagree with us in that sense, in a way, all of us need to understand that we are essentially humans, right? So you may think in some way, you may not think in some way. Is there a magic wand which can reconcile everything one day? It cannot. It is a very slow process. That is what happened. Shakas, Hunas and Huns and Greeks were not assimilated in just 2 years, 10 years, 20 years, right? It took so many decades and years and centuries for all of those things to happen. So when there are certain ideologies which are much more dogmatic than these things, there has to be a proper civilizational response to that. And when I say a civilizational response, that does not mean attacking somebody based on their ideology. That will just increase the conflict in the world which is there today. You don't want to start a World War III, right? You can't do that. So you have to take a different route. A route which essentially says, whoever lives in this country, understand your history. Right? There is no problem just understanding something scientifically. I think the main purpose of Itihas is this. Once you understand Indian history, the civilizational history, you will naturally understand all the people who came to this land had a way of life that helped us to live for 10,000 years. That is something which is not seen in the world today. There is no other place. So if we, all of us understand that continuity, and it's not just about one person, right? It's essentially, you came from some other country, but you are still human. You just think that you worship different gods, you have different identity, but essentially you are part of this land. You can continue worshipping whoever you want, or if you do not want to worship anybody, you do not do that. But we are still Indians. If you can call that Bharatiya, you can call that Indian, you can call that Indic, whatever word you want to associate that. But essentially, we need to understand that all of us are Indians. If we just understand that, I think a lot of things can be reconciled there. Of course, there are certain forces who will not let that happen. There is definitely a part in every kind of ideology. In our also, there may be some problems, definitely, right? So definitely, for that, there has to be some we need to equip ourselves with, let's say, intellectual and other things to deal with that. But is that the bigger portion? I don't think so. There are definitely there, but it's not the overarching portion, right?
You beautifully narrated that as a civilization, we have to first realize that we are a country with a civilization, and then believe it, and then get behind it to support it, so that it still continues to survive. But Omkar, a lot of criticism also arises and is, put as a label to this civilization, from its rigidness, its rituals, its it's different sects, different gods. A lot of people use caste. A lot of people use, color. There are so many things with which I will use the word. You may not want to politicize it, but I think it is political, because at the end of the day, we are suffering at the hand of these political ideologies. A leftist who is an Indian, I'm not talking about the leftists outside the border. A leftist who is an Indian would criticize it and say, what are you talking about? You don't have what civilization? What good your civilization has given you? Okay, you don't have a dogmatic, process, but you are as worse as the other people, is what their claim is, because you have so many ills. You had Sati, you had caste, you have so many rituals, baseless. Why the woman should fast? Why this, that? So there are so many criticisms. How do we make peace with that? How do we say that these are not baseless? And how do we make the Indian within believe in this civilization?
Okay. So let me put this the other way around, right? Can we find a living ideology, or whatever you want to call that, which doesn't have any defect?
No.
Probably not. We have defects, we accept that.
But the problem is the other people don't believe,
which
don't
is
accept
fine.
they
Which
have
is
defects.
fine. But if you, that's my point, ki that is what in a way I'm trying to do based on my understanding in Itihas, that let us assume we have in some way many of these, still we have many of these defects, and we had those defects for last 10,000 years. Let's assume that. But still, we lived here for 10,000 years. In the most non-dogmatic way which is possible in the human civilizations, and self-corrected ourselves time and again. Reformed ourselves time and again, right? So if I think everybody just understands this history, right, many questions can die down. And that is essentially the purpose behind Itihas. If we just look at, it doesn't matter somebody is leftist, rightist. In the end, you are an Indian. So you need to understand who you are first. So let's do that. Let's go back to the roots.
How would you counter argue on the criticisms like Sati?
So Sati was, first of all, there is a very good book written by a historian on Sati. The name of the book is Sati. Meenakshi Jain madam. Right? So she has said how Sati was not a widespread phenomenon. The British, essentially, when they came to India, they needed certain funds to colonize us, to further their own agendas and convert and do a lot of things, right? So this is documented. It's not something that I am saying from my own this thing. And for that, they needed to give certain reasons, right? In my parliament in England, if I want money to do something, I want to give certain proofs. So the few cases that they found in certain places of this country, you just balloon it up. And you say, oh, this is such a widespread phenomenon in India. We need more funds to do this. So like that, you will see same happened with Sati. This Jagannath Rath Yatra was weaponized. There are many things like this. They are worshipping 100 gods.
So you mean to say Sati was not as widespread?
No, it was.
But it was happening?
Yes.
Why did it happen?
One definitely was external invasion.
Is it mentioned in any of the scriptures?
Sati, as such, per my knowledge, is not mentioned in the Shrutis, as much as I know, but it is definitely mentioned in the Smritis, in the Puranas and all of those things.
Which came during the time when we were facing invasions.
Correct. Because let's take a very modern example. Let's say Rajasthan, right? When the Johar happened, we know that the Johar happened, right?
Explain Johar, please.
So let's say somebody attacked. In this case, Alauddin Khilji attacked Chittorgarh. At that time, when they understood that you are going to be defeated, the women did not want to sell their dignity. Because you know what would have happened to you. It was the most inhuman things that would have happened, right? History tells us that they would be raped, they would be made slaves, and all of those things would happen. So you want to save yourself from all those things. So they said, okay, instead of going through all that, let's just create a fire and jump into it. So there were more than 2 or 3 Johars that happen. If you go to Chittorgarh today, there are inscriptions. Ki how many women burned themselves during Khilji, how many women burned themselves when Akbar's invasion happened. Collectively. So many queen and...
What were the men doing then?
Men were fighting. They closed the gates and said, we will fight till the end.
So paint a picture. It is an existential crisis.
Yes.
Where the men in the family are off to the battlefield, fighting an enemy which they believe is unsurmountable, and the women are prepared and ready to die in the pit of fire.
Yes.
Why? Because we are facing
existential crisis, and we know the threat that we have. Do not care about women's dignity.
Or anybody's dignity.
Anybody's dignity for that matter. So instead of getting raped or sold as slaves, they said, okay, I will burn myself. I don't want to go through all of this. It's a very painful thing to say, to even understand. I had been to Chittorgarh, I think just last year. There are these inscriptions, plus where that Johar happened, right? They have created a garden, there's a grass and all of these things, and they've written all those things. They do a puja and havan at those places. What you understand from the locals there, when you read this inscription, it's very... You will understand the gravity of that situation. So to say, okay, this is a very bad thing that has happened in the civilization, okay, there are certain genuine reasons for people to immolate themselves. People, see, putting ourselves in fire
is the worst thing.
Is the worst thing. You will not think, of course. So definitely there are reasons for this to happen in some parts of the country. But that did not mean a scripture came and said, the Rig Veda says, okay, if your husband die, you have to die.
That is not said.
Yes.
That is not written.
So there are many queens in this country, when their husbands died, they took over, right? Queen of Jhansi is an example, right?
Right.
She took that up.
Khoob ladi mardani Jhansi
exactly. Rani Karnavati did the same against Shah Jahan. There are n number of queens. The Pandyas, the Pandya Empire, for a very long time was ruled by women. So it is not that if your husband is incapable, or if your husband dies, then your woman has to die. Right? Chhatrapati Shivaji's Maharaj's mother did not die when Shahaji Maharaj died. Right? So if you can find 100 examples here, I can definitely give you more than 1000 examples on the other side.
मुझे एक बात बताइए. I understand that the invasions were happening from the west, and Johars हो रहे थे वहाँ पे, which is very unfortunate. The incidents of Sati, as recorded by the British, is somewhere around Bengal.
Right.
If invasions were happening there, why was the Sati incidents that is recorded by the British happened in Bengal?
So when the Islamic invasions happened in this country, it was not just centered around the northwest part of this country, right? It went to Bengal, especially the Mughal Empire and so on. So there is a long history in Bengal of many of these things happening, reoccurring there as well, right? You will not see a single towering figure, a king who completely wiped out everything. Definitely there are kings who also came up from Bengal. And who defeated a lot of these forces and took back control and so on. But yes, so such unfortunate incidents have also happened there because of that, essentially the same odd reasons.
Okay, so you mean to say that yes, there were invasions that was coming in waves from the north, and the Rajasthani people and the Rajputs were facing it there. But at the same time, when it continued, when they came into the country and the Mughal rule came, तब जो fighting होती थी, उस वक्त भी the women, to protect themselves, used to perform sati after their husbands used to die.
Yes.
So, which means that the way that we say that the Mughals who stayed there were very, they made this their home, they made this their countries, then it does not seem so true, does it?
Right. So I don't have to say that. You don't have to say that. Let's look at, if you look at their own authorized biographies, which they themselves have authorized. They might not have written it, but they have authorized that. Like, for example, Alamgir Nama. Masiri Alamgiri, Babarnama, all of these things.
Which was created by their court historians.
Their court historians, right? So they have written all of these things. What was their agendas? So Babar came with a very singular agenda, right? He wanted to convert everybody here. He wanted to fly the flag of his religion here, convert everybody. So though they did have those kind of agendas, but was everybody like that? There were few people from these things also. Of course, you cannot decide this or that because you will see people from both of these things. But there are two very interesting examples from this also, right? So you have somebody called as Dara Shikoh. While Aurangzeb is one of the greatest tyrants, worse than Hitler, if you try to compare, his brother Dara Shikoh, on the other hand, was very compassionate emperor, right? While you have those Adil Shahis and the other these things who completely destroyed the Vijayanagar empire through its root. There was one emperor of in Adil Shahi called as Ibrahim Adil Shah who used to pray to Saraswati. Ma Saraswati. So if you see his letters, right, in each of his farman or each of his letter, he will first start with Saraswati.
वो जैसे हम ओम लिख के शुरू करते हैं.
हाँ, but the unfortunate thing was when that particular king went away, it was not continued, right?
What happened to Dara Shikoh?
Dara Shikoh was killed by Aurangzeb.
Acha.
So what happened in the Mughal, how did Mughal succession happen, right? So when your father is old or something like that, all the brothers that are there will fight each other to get the throne, enslave the father and get the throne, right? So Aurangzeb started from the south with few other people, few other princes. Shah Jahan wanted to have Dara Shikoh as his successor. So he was in the north, in Agra with him. So all your Mirza Raja Jai Singh is a very prominent figure which comes in the Maratha history, right? So he was actually with Dara Shikoh. He changed sides, right? He came to Aurangzeb and helped capture Dara Shikoh, and Mirza Raja Jai Singh becomes one of the most trusted person of Aurangzeb later. So Mirza Raja Jai Singh is the one who was sent, and he gave that cut head of Dara Shikoh to Aurangzeb.
The chopped head.
Chopped head of Aurangzeb to Dara Shikoh to Aurangzeb.
Superb. In our Rajas and their dynasties and history, is there a similar, is there a similarity like the Mughals had, where they were just infighting amongst themselves and killing each other? The son is killing the father, the brother is killing the brother for the throne?
Okay. Not in most cases. I will give one example.
Yes.
It will be very controversial to start with. But since it is recorded history, I will give you names also.
Yes.
We all know Emperor Ashok as one of the greatest figures, right? The Emperor of Peace. History, Charles Allen has written a book on this. There is something called as Ashok Vandana, Buddhist scriptures. There are many other things which says these things. Ashoka was called as Chanda Ashok, Chanda Ashok, right? Essentially Ashoka the destroyer. So he did not become Buddhist after the Kalinga war, as we are taught in our school books. He became Buddhist much before, because for political reasons. His father had inclinations towards certain other sects. His grandfather, Chandragupta Maurya, had some other sects. So he wanted to grab power. Right? So he needs certain support. So he took support of some of the established powers of that time, which was Buddhist, to capture the throne. Many of his brothers were fighting at the borders for few things. It is said, Buddhist scripture says, he killed lots of brothers to get the throne. There was a lot of bloodshed to get the throne, right? So this has happened in Indian history. It has not that this has not happened. This is a recorded history. But this is not a widespread phenomenon. That is also true.
Great. All of these battles that we fought, where the invaders came with a certain, perspective and ideology, was mostly justified by them because we were idol worshippers.
Correct.
So, what do you think? And still there is a lot of debate behind idol worshippers. Even Hindus amongst themselves have these debates. Why do we do, the idol worshipping? Why do we do Murti Puja? What is the What is the reason behind it? Is it philosophy? Is it science? Is it just, blind faith? What is it?
So Hinduism, if you want to call it that, or whatever you want to call it that, or the Indian civilization, is one of the strongest examples of a monotheistic religion.
Monotheistic.
Religion.
Please elaborate.
Okay. So there is probably in the 10th mandala of the Rig Veda, I don't know the exact mandala, there is a verse which says Ekam Sat Vipra Bahuda Vadanti. Okay, I'll just translate that for you. Ekam Sat, truth is the same. Vipra Bahuda Vadanti. Vipra is the wise men. Call it by different names. So essentially everybody knows the truth is the same, called as Paramatma, which is there in all living beings and non-living beings, which Krishna says to Arjuna in the Gita. I am the one who is in every human being and every non-living thing and every other thing in the existence, right, as Atma. And we connect to that Paramatma. Now, since we are there for such a long period of time, we probably would have figured out during some time that, okay, since there are 1,000 different kind of people, one path may not be sufficient for everybody as per their natural inclinations and attitudes. So they said, okay, somebody can do a Shiva sadhana, somebody can do a Vishnu sadhana. If you do not want to believe in anything, you can become a Charvaka who will completely reject the Vedas. So all of this is fine. But you understand that the divine, if you want to call that, God or the nature or the intelligence, is essentially one. It's just you are using different mediums. Essentially, if it can be a stone, it can be a tree, it can be a cow, it can be a dog. In our this thing, there is no limit, It's not said, okay, you cannot worship a cow, you cannot worship a tree, you can worship anything if you want. If you think that will take you closer to the truth.
So basically a moniker for you to, kind of tether, for you to become a better seeker.
Right.
Even if you are not a believer.
Yes, because the main thing of the civilization was never belief. Rig Veda did not say, okay, you have to believe this. It never said. In no scripture ever it is written that
there is no mandate.
There is no mandate. This is how it is and you have to believe. If you do not believe, you are not a Hindu. There is no one word like this.
So when you talk about the Vedas, the Puranas, the Itihas, which is also the name of your channel, how do we perceive the Vedas? Is it like a code of conduct? Is it a way of life? Is it psychology? Is it philosophy? Is it just history? Or is it all of the above or more?
Okay. So the Shruti and the Smritis. Let's look into each of those, right? So let's start with the Shrutis. As you said, Vedas. So Vedas' purpose is very clear, which has been given. Essentially, it's the spiritual science which has been passed down to us.
Spiritual science.
Spiritual science. It essentially tells you what you need to do to attain, what are the kind of different rituals. So there are various methods, right, that they give you. It can be a ritual, it can be meditation, all of those things can be there. It has those. Also, it has explanation of various natural events that had happened during that time. As I mentioned, the Agastya part, right? So that is also there in the Vedas. That is one part of the Shrutis. The second Shruti which you come across is Samhitas. Right? The Samhitas is essentially devotional, or the hymn aspect of the Vedas, right? Then you have something called as Brahmanas, where it is more about rituals, how to do a certain ritual. You want to go into the depth of that, you have a lot of Brahmanas, right? Then you have something called as the Aranyakas. Now this Aranyakas is specially for people who want to go to the forest. The name itself is Aranyaka. Aranya is forest, right? You want to go to the forest and just be with yourself, meditate and do all of this. So it is for those kind of people, right? Then there is Upanishads. The Upanishad is more of stories around to explain consciousness and those things, right? So these are Shrutis. The other thing that we have is Smritis. Itihas is essentially a Smriti. So let's say, why is my name of my channel Memory, right? Why is the name of my channel Itihas? In one of my cover page in YouTube, I have put this. The definition of Itihas is not just recording history. That's not the Indian way of looking at history.
It's not just his story.
It's not his story. It's your story. So the definition in Sanskrit is Dharma Artha Kama Moksha Upadesha Samanvitam Purva Vruttam Kathayuktam Itihasam Prachakshate. What does this mean? Is essentially to share the knowledge of Dharma Artha Kama Moksha to the humanity of at large. You will use the incidents that have happened in the past, Purva Vruttam, in a story format, Kathayuktam. This is Itihas. Itihasa Prachashyate.
Brilliant. Amazing. I mean, it's just so deep and it's just so, intriguing.
Then there are other parts to this. Like for example, there is something called as Puranas. Now in Puranas, you will see lineages of various empires. Now we only know Ram happened, right? Of course, there is a debate on the scientificity, if he really happened, if he did not happen. But there is a lineage of all Ikshvaku kings. Before Ram, after Ram, right from Manu.
Sri Ram came from the dynasty of the Ikshvakus.
Ikshvaku, yeah.
Yes.
So give a context, there was a king called Ikshvaku, from whom this whole dynasty comes in.
Then came Bharat.
Bharat came much later. Then there was Bharat, and all of those people happened. And then came Ram. Bharat is not from the Ikshvaku.
Oh.
Bharat is a different clan which happened.
So there were many clans.
There were very different clans. Very interesting part from, I'll just digress. From the Rig Veda, we know of two epics, right? Ramayana and Mahabharata. There is a third one in the Rig Veda.
Really?
It's called as Dashradhya Yuddha.
The Battle of the Ten
Battle of the Ten Kings. I think one can also refer to a book by Sanjeev Sanyal on this particular subject, right? He has spoken of this. So you can see in that Ikshvakus were there. There were this Bharata clans. All of those you can see there, which happened much before the period of Ramayana. So there were different clans, and in Puranas you can see the lineage of all of these clans. What happened? Who were the kings? All of those things you can see in the Puranas.
So is it true that the Rig Veda dates, or at least memorizes, the Battle of the Ten Kings to have happened even much before the Vedic period?
Much before Ramayana. What is the exact period I am not aware of, but there are definitely a lot of research which is happening in that direction. If you look at the lineages, it is many more thousand years before that. If you just look at the lineages, but the lineage cannot be the only evidence, because it can be corrupted.
Correct.
Right, and every other thing. So you have to look at all kind of evidences. Let's say the Rig Veda. Exactly. So if the Rig Veda says, okay, this king happened at this point of time. Let's say Sudas. Sudas is the main character of that Battle of Ten Kings, right?
Yeah.
So he came with Vasishtha and defeated the 10 kings. Okay, this is what the oceanic levels were at this time. This was the star. This was the pole star. All of astronomical, oceanography, archaeology, all of this has to be reconciled, put into a paper, published, get consistency. That is when we can say, okay, what is there in scripture and what the scientific evidence says is we are able to reconcile this. Now this is history.
I think we need another podcast altogether to discuss the Battle of the Ten Kings.
Sure.
Okay. There have been great figures in our culture and our civilization. People like Sri Buddha, Sri Mahavir, or even in later like Guru Nanak ji. So Adi Shankaracharya ji. So I want to ask you, why do we need such people? And in the course of history, why do they keep coming in different forms and different different perspectives of the same ideology? And why do they still matter?
Right. As I said, I'll just refer to the same corollary that I gave before, right? The civilization kind of resembles me as a living body, right? Which has external threats like viruses and internal decay. Since you are there for 10,000 years, it is bound to happen, right? So you have an immunity system in place, which can be seen if you read behind the lines. And that particular immunity system is giving immune responses. So these people essentially come at point. They just don't came up randomly, right? Adi Shankaracharya, if you just took the example, at that point of time, there were it was like, okay, I am a Shaivite, you are a Vaishnavite, I will definitely don't agree with you and I will oppose you, right? There were just too many variants. There was Buddhists, there was Jainis, all of them were kind of against each other. So you needed somebody who would unite everybody. You would also need somebody who will be able to protect this land if there is a external threat. Right?
In the age of Adi Shankaracharya, did the external threat...
No, but after that it happened, and I'll give you the example.
So in some ways he was a visionary.
He was definitely a visionary. So this boy, who was from Kaladi in Kerala, walked all the way 3 times through the Indian subcontinent, debated with everybody, every school of thought he debated. He went to the north, he went to the west, east, to the south. He went up till Kashmir. The Sharda Pitham is in Kashmir. All the 4 mathas that he has put, one is in Badri, one is in Dwarka, one is in Jagannath Puri, and one is in Sringeri in Karnataka. He went till Rameshwaram. He went through all these places, debated each school of thought, reconciled everybody. One very interesting thing is there was somebody called as Sureshwaracharya who was in the north. He debated that. He debated him. His older name was Madan Mishra.
The famous debate.
The famous debate that the judge of that particular debate was his wife.
Madan Mishra's wife.
Madan Mishra's wife. So when we say, women cannot be, intellectual, these things and all those things, it's not true.
We were OG feminists.
OG feminist, if you want to call that. So that happened. And Sureshwaracharya, interestingly, after Shankaracharya, Adi Shankaracharya was the first Shankaracharya of the Sringeri Peeth. So he is the one who unified the whole civilization as a whole and then created the Naga Sadhu sect. So you see all those Naga Sadhus, right? Who essentially when Aurangzeb happened or after that when Panipat happened, when there were certain attacks in certain places, there is recorded history in Gokul and in Mathura and few of these places. Naga Sadhus fought with these invasionary forces and defeated them. So they helped that. Similarly, there is another example. This same Sringeri Peeth, which Adi Shankaracharya had put up during the Delhi Sultanate, there was somebody called as Vidyaranya Swami, who was the Mathadipati of the Sringeri Peeth. So at that time Tughlaqs were ruling and there were 2 military officers in this Tughlaq army. They were called, their name today we known as Harihar and Bukka. So this Vidyaranya Swami took the help of these 2 brothers. He essentially helped them to create the Vijayanagar Empire.
Wow.
So all of this is connected.
Can you name 5 inventions of ancient Indian subcontinent?
Okay, sure. So I'll just take an example before going into that. Right now, during the trade deal which we did with Europe, right? The European...
The mother of all deals.
The mother of all deals, right?
Yeah.
So the European Union President Ursula said a statement during her media interactions, right? She said European Enlightenment was informed by Indian mathematics. It's a very big statement.
Yes.
Because a lot of mathematics and science first happened in India and was transmitted through Egypt, through Arabs, through this Jesuit missionaries to Europe. And then in many cases it was dressed up as European science and mathematics in many cases. Like for example, the Arabic numerals. Today it's famous as Arabic numerals, but if you read their book, Al-Hind, so essentially it translates to algebra.
Yeah.
So it is essentially, he says that, okay, I am taking it from Brahmagupta and Bhaskaracharya. He is naming all those things.
The Arabs were honest.
Many of them were honest, right? Yeah. So we know it was Hindu.
But the Europeans were not.
They were not honest because they wanted to colonize your mindset first, right?
Yeah. Fun fact, when I traveled to a lot of Arabian countries, from Egypt to Turkey to the Middle Eastern countries, they still call us by the name Al-Hind.
Al-Hind, yes.
Whether you're a Tamil, you're a Muslim, you're a Hindu, you're a Jain, you're a Sikh, you're a Parsi, whoever you are, if you come from the Indian subcontinent, you're Al-Hind, Al-Hindi, this is what they call you.
Correct. So all of this book had that suffix or prefix to it, like Kitab Al-Hind.
Yes.
So essentially this is a book from India, essentially to say that.
Yes.
So you have your numerals. The 0 is a very famous. It is older than Aryabhatta. Pingala is the one who put the foundation for this. There is evidence for that. Then you have I'll put a very controversial this thing. There is there's a concept of infinitesimal series, which is essentially the precursor to calculus as well as the calculus. This is there. There are verses of Madhava of Sangramagrama in the south. And he had started a school of mathematics, Kerala School of Mathematics, very famous. It all comes from that. I will like to quote one book here. There is a book called as The Imperishable Seed.
Okay.
The Imperishable Seed, where the author, who is himself a scientist, has quoted all of these things. All mathematics which came, who did, what did Brahmagupta did, what was there in Lilavati, how did, what were the Sulabha Sutras, how did geometry, Pythagoras theorem originate from all of these things, how did all of these things travel to the West. He has really detailed, he has put those verses in it and explained those verses. Right? So if somebody is really interested to understand the primary sources and you don't want to go all over the place, this is one book you can definitely refer.
Okay. Quickly, I want to understand from you, when we say you earlier said that it is believed that the British, got hold of India from the hands of the Mughal. A lot of people don't really know who the Mughals are. Where does the word Mughal come from and who were they actually?
So essentially today what we call as the Mongolia region, that is the place from where all these Mongols essentially come from.
Were they not Turkic?
Definitely, they were. I think it was a mix of both of those things which has happened. That is where they came from, to India. Babur is the one who is supposed to be the one who put that Mughal empire in India. Then definitely in our school textbooks, there is a lot of praise for all of these people. We know Babur, we know Humayun, we know Akbar.
I know Babur better than my uncle.
Definitely. So Babur, you have Humayun, then you have Akbar, then you have Jahangir, then you have Shah Jahan, and then you have Aurangzeb. I think this is by heart from everybody.
Yeah.
Then you made a statement that, or I made that statement actually, that Britishers took India from the Mughals. Completely false.
Who did they take it from?
From the Marathas.
Okay. So you mean to say that the Marathas by then how did they come?
So Shivaji Maharaj, who is said to be a local regional figure, he put the seed of the Maratha Empire. He called it Swaraj. But after him, maybe it can be a completely different podcast, right? But to completely sum it up, after him, there was Chhatrapati Sambhaji Maharaj. He fought for 9 years. After him, Rajaram Maharaj. Tarabai was there. There was literally no throne. There was no king. There was no treasury. There was no capital. There was nothing. And there was an army in front of you of 7 lakh people. The Mughal army was 7 lakh people. Aurangzeb himself was in Deccan, right? They fought them tooth and nail. After he died, you have the Peshwas, right? Under Shahu Maharaj, you have all those Bajiraos of the world, right? Then after Bajirao, during Nana Sahib Peshwas, who's the son of Bajirao Peshwa, we went from here, from Maharashtra, essentially from Attak to Cuttack. Attak in the west and Cuttack in the east.
Attak in today's Balochistan?
Yeah, I think Balochistan, Peshawar,
Peshawar,
that kind of
area.
region. And Cuttack essentially in the east, right? So it essentially stretched, I think, beyond Odisha. It stretched to both of these places. Essentially the whole of the Indian subcontinent, they took over. And essentially Mughals kind of became a puppet of the Marathas. So what will Mughal emperor's wife, how much salary would she get? It is essentially would be dictated from Pune and Satara.
Really?
And it is the British who quote that we took India from the Mughals. If you look at their records, the Agra Palace and the Delhi Palace, the protection and everything was in control of Marathas when the British took it from them.
According to you, who are the 5 greatest names who are kind of unforgotten and we must read about them from our history?
Okay. To put so many names into just 5 is very difficult. It will not give justification. But I think if you look at civilizational icons that we really need to study, one is definitely, let's start from the recent times, Swami Vivekananda. If you want to know what is India from a very modern lens, you cannot replace this person.
Absolutely.
Right? Second is Shivaji Maharaj.
Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj.
Because a lot of other civilizational person happened to before him who supported the civilization militarily in many other aspects. But somebody who not only created a local or a regional resistance, but converted that into a pan-India empire is Shivaji Maharaj. So that is the second person. Then there are a lot of Rajputs continuously, right? From Bappa Rawal at the time of Arabs. So he defeated the Arabs. He went till Rawalpindi, right? Today you have a city in Pakistan called as Rawalpindi. Is essentially what is Rawalpindi?
Yes.
Bappa Rawal is essential. Right? Right from Bappa Rawal to Maharana Pratap and his ancestors, Raja Jai Singh, if I am not wrong. Till then, they have also been in 1,000 years of resistance. We need to understand that. Then there are Ahoms. They protected the east. I think they were attacked 17 times.
Today's Assam.
Lachit Barphukan is a very famous name coming out, right, today. Their history is also very important because they have never been defeated. So that is there. Then, of course, there are Sikhs, right from Guru Nanak, all of them are there. Apart from these kings which have happened, much before that timeline, you have the Mauryas. Chandragupta and Chanakya are again very civilizational icon. These are not kings. Chanakya was an ordinary teacher in Takshashila. Right? He has no royal patronage. His student Chandragupta again had no royal patronage. But they did some completely impossible feat, right? So we need to understand these people. Then there are a lot of sages of the past, like Adi Shankaracharya, Buddha, Mahavir, that we need to understand. More than understanding stories of these people, we need to understand why they did what they did. Because that is more relevant today.
I think you have given us a lot of names for a lot of podcasts to come. And we can individually discuss them. Definitely. And their contributions to the Indian subcontinental history. I think last 2 questions. I want to understand from your perspective. You are a young individual yourself. You're an engineer with background. And you are doing great work with our history and Itihas. The Generation Z, the Gen Z that we have today, and then the next gen, Alpha, and subsequently generations to come, they are highly westernized. The internet has, shortened the gaps from the Western world to the Indian subcontinent. They are woke. Their genders are fluid.
Yes.
And their minds are up for grabs. Is what the common understanding says.
Correct.
With your work, with whatever you have read, you are also not that old, not too far from Gen Z, I would say.
Yeah, I'm 27, so millennial, late millennial.
Bordering Gen Z.
Yes.
So, do you think there is hope?
Okay, so...
hope as in...
Yeah, I understand.
The continuation of the civilization.
Right. So, are we woke? Are we completely westernized? Or up to a very large extent? Are we all those adjectives that you mentioned? Yes, we definitely are. Do we consume blindly, a lot of us, the content which comes on Instagram blindly? We do that. Is that the problem of the Gen Z? That they are believing everything that is coming to them? I think the onus is on people like us. People, as you said, people who have the influence to put these things right to them. I'll just give you an example of my channel, right? When I put things and something which really goes very viral, I think 2 kind of responses. One is lots of questions. So that is one good thing about the Western civilization. See, whatever is good of the outside world, we should definitely take that. One is a scientific temperament. Why did this happen? Why did that not happen? That is very welcome. I'm open to debate.
Well, they stoned their scientists as well, but
Yes.
that's another discussion.
Yeah. So that is one good thing that has happened. And second response which I see for my channel is every day I will find at least 1 to 10 comments which says, okay, thank you for sharing this with. We did not know this. So if you really give them good content, which is fact-based, evidence-led, genuine content, they will grab it. Because if you are able to give them value, nobody will say no in any age, right? So it is the onus on our side. If we want our future generations or the whole this thing to be in a certain way, to understand their history, then it is the job, I think, of the influencers to take this up.
Lovely. Lastly, I want to sum it up with you by you letting us know about some historical insight which you would think guide our audiences and the generations to come, which a lot of people don't know about or it is not much talked about.
Okay. So I would like to borrow from Swami Vivekananda for this particular question. In his various writings and speeches, there is a message that he gives for the youth of India, right? What he says is, so everybody knows that Swami Vivekananda says, okay, you should play football instead of, studying the Gita. Well, all those things he have written and said, he has also said in his address to the youth of this nation that please understand and read the history of the civilization. Because only if you read that, you will get your identity. That is what is there in your blood. Once you know how grounded you are, what is your identity, and what your civilization is, what it stands for, you will naturally do what is best for the nation and the world at large.
Who are you?
Who are you? Because you are very non-dogmatic. You are very genuine.
Fluid.
Very fluid, right? Essentially, what he is trying to say is, if there is a tree, if it knows that its roots are very grounded and very deep, it can very confidently grow up. Right? That's what essentially he's trying to say. You understand that part and you do the best in the world that you can. Then you'll only do good. I'd like to close with that.
So we were not just OG feminist, we were not just OG scientist, we were also OG woke. So everybody who's woke today must realize that everything that you find attractive on the other side of the hemisphere, you must find it here, and here it is much more nuanced, much more relatable, and much more closer to home. On that note, before we end, I would like to give you a gift from our side, Omkar. So this is a small hamper from Meetha by Radisson. Omkar ji, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
And thank you for giving us your time. We have had a beautiful discussion on several things. And I can see at least 10 more podcasts just like this, talking to each other, where we can explore many more topics and pointers in detail. And I hope you had a good time.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. I had a lot of fun.
Same here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.